Hello and welcome to Rough Cut Film. This is a quick review of Seven Psychopaths. So this has just left the cinemas. It was the latest film starring Colin Farrell, who has somehow and quite deservedly become a respected actor after years of making films like SWAT. He's shown that he can actually act and he can go through an entire film and not irritate me, which quite frankly I thought was impossible. I mean, if you've seen him in Alexander, oh boy. Interesting stuff. So to think that he's a proper actor now is very strange, but let's not get carried away, and he may well go back to that sort of thing. The plot of Seven Psychopaths. So Colin Farrell is an Irish writer struggling with writer's block in LA. He's got an idea for a film. Well, he's got the title, which is Seven Psychopaths, but nothing more. He's got a very eccentric friend, is probably the nicest way to put it, played by Sam Rockwell, who wants to help him and get involved with writing this film. And he wants it to be very violent, and he gets quite excited at the idea. He comes up with these cool ideas of violence, except they're not really that cool. Farrell's character, however, has this idea in mind that the film should be life-affirming, and he's got this sort of vague idea that instead of being a big revenge shootout at the end, the protagonist simply walks away from the fight. In the middle of all of this, the writer, Colin Farrell's character, has got another friend, played by Christopher Walken, who is a professional dog napper. And this is where, the plot contrivance comes in. He steals dogs from rich people and then goes back later and gets the reward for returning them. Unfortunately, he dog naps a crime boss, played by Woody Harrelson, and that's how the cast all get drawn into, quite dangerous and zany adventures. So the film is made by Michael McDonough, who made In Brugges in 2008, which is an absolutely wonderful, relatively low budget little thriller with Ralph Fiennes in it. It's absolutely fantastic. Really is one of my favourite films. I've seen that so many times. Saw it just a couple of weeks ago, and after a 4-year break, this director is back, and I'm extremely excited. So, much like his previous film In Brugges, there's lots of subtle religious references here. Well, some subtle, some not so subtle. There's stuff about redemption, damnation, and hell. However, the difference is really, In Brugges was incredibly tightly focused and kept a really firm hand on what it was that it was trying to achieve. Unfortunately, Seven Psychopaths is a bit of a baggy mess, albeit one that is not entirely without merit. So what are its influences? Well, I was thinking of a thriller called Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead. That also had Christopher Walken in it, as I remember it. There's something of the dark humour of Tarantino in there. And there is something of Barton Fink as well, the Coen brothers film about the writer struggling with writer's block, although they do turn out to be quite different films, but both very black and relatively violent. So, Seven Psychopaths, unfortunately the end result is a disjointed and disappointing mess. Sam Rockwell does a good job, and he does have most of the best lines. And when the film catches fire, it's really good. And there are particular scenes which are absolutely wonderful. They're really engaging and just tremendous. However, unfortunately, they're in the minority, and it feels like they're getting crowded out by the less interesting stuff. It's almost like the less interesting stuff is kind of elbowing its way onto screen time, and it just sort of crowds out and shouts out the really strong stuff, because there are fantastic scenes in there. There are great lines, but unfortunately, as I say, they're on the minority. As I've alluded to, I mean, the cast is very strong. We've got Christopher Walken in there, Sam Rockwell, Woody Harrelson. We also get Tom Waits as well, which I wasn't expecting. And by and large, they do a good job. The film isn't terrible. The acting's fine, as I've said. And there is stuff in there that I really like. But I think the sort of Tarantino sticky coating is less of a hint than it should be, and it really overpowers some of the brilliant work that Michael McDonough has done previously. So it's less In Brugges, it's got less of that sort of English charm about it, and it's more violent and zippy. And the trouble is with Tarantino's work, by and large, is there's no character development, so we suffer from that here, and I really think so. I have to say I'm really disappointed with this. It's not a horrendous film. It's just not as good as I know that this guy can can do. It doesn't really feel like one of his films. I don't know. Did he second guess himself, or I mean, I was thinking perhaps he was struggling and sort of wrestling with this concept of the film, the Seven Psychopaths, because there's the film within the film of the Seven Psychopaths, and then, well, what do you do with it really? The whole point of the film, and I think the problem lies with the fact that the title is fantastic. It's a great little joke, but what's happened is they failed to turn a fun little idea into a coherent piece of work that stretches over 90 minutes or however long it is. It's going to make for a cracking title, a great tagline for a film, and I bet the trailer looks absolutely fantastic. I bet it looks like film of the year, but put that all together, it doesn't make a good film, unfortunately. Fundamentally, I think this is the wrong project for McDonough. I think it's just the wrong thing to take. So let's see what he does next. As I say, it's not irredeemably bad. It's just it doesn't feel like his work, and at best it needed rewriting. There we go. That'll do it. Thank you very much, Chris Thomas. Kind regards.